And when a moderate south wind came up, supposing that they had gained their purpose, they weighed anchor and began sailing along Crete, close inshore. But before very long, there rushed down from the land a violent wind called Hurricane, and when the ship was caught in it and could not face the wind, we gave way to it and let ourselves be driven along. And running under the shelter of a small island called Clauda, we were scarcely able to get the ship's boat under control. And after they had hoisted it up, they used supporting cables in undergirding the ship, and fearing that they might run aground on the shallows of Cyprus, they let down the sea anchor and so let themselves be driven along. The next day, as we were being violently storm-tossed, they began to jettison the cargo. And on the third day, they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their own hands. And since neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small storm was assailing us, from then on all hope of our being saved was gradually abandoned. And when they had gone a long time without food, then Paul stood up in their midst and said, "Men, you ought to have followed my advice and not to have set sail from Crete and incurred this damage and loss. And yet now I urge you to keep up your courage, for there shall be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. For this very night an angel of the Lord, to whom I belong and whom I serve, stood before me, saying, 'Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar, and behold, God has granted you all those who are sailing with you. Therefore keep up your courage, men, for I believe God that it will turn out exactly as I have told you,' or as exactly as I have been told. 'But we must run aground on a certain island.'" Acts 27:13 through 26. Paul was a champion survivor. We're talking about spiritual stabilizers. Paul was a champion survivor. On the way to Rome as a prisoner, he experienced a storm so severe that all hope vanished. But Paul had 3 stabilizers that carried him through. His first stabilizer was his true identity, whose I am. He discovered that neither his cultural nor religious background was sufficient. His personal relationship with Jesus gave him his identity. He said, "I consider everything a loss compared to the surpassing greatness of knowing Jesus Christ, my Lord." Philippians 3:8. His second stabilizer was his trust in the Lord. He said, "I know whom I have believed." His belief was not in something, but in someone, see. "I know whom I have believed," 2 Timothy 1:12. It is easy to believe God when everything is going smoothly, but we can trust the Lord. We can trust the Lord when hope is gone. Listen, when we can say, "I have faith in God that it will happen just as He told me," Acts 27:25. The third stabilizer in his life was his involvement. "Whom I serve," serving the Lord, brought purpose into his life. He said, "Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. I press on toward the goal to win the prize. Philippians 3:13 and 14. What do you do when a storm hits? What stabilizes your life? With our spiritual stabilizers at work, nothing can move us. Our stabilizers are, I am His. I believe Him. I serve Him. Nothing can move us, for our anchor in Jesus Christ stabilizes our lives. See?